Part 3. Sowing seeds that benefit others. Is it a family trip? Early in our marriage, Margaret and I realized that in my career, I would often have the opportunity to travel. And we decided that any time I got the chance to go someplace interesting or to attend an event that we knew would be exciting, she would come along with me, even when it was difficult financially. We've done a pretty good job of following through on that commitment over the years. But because I travel so often, and for a long time Margaret needed to stay home with our children, sometimes I've had to go on trips alone. For example, I remember taking a trip many years ago to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to conduct a conference. Margaret and I love that area, especially the Amish country. The farms and old houses are absolutely beautiful. On that particular trip, I was fortunate enough to have a bit of free time to go exploring. So I drove around and enjoyed the countryside, had a delicious home-cooked meal at a little Pennsylvania Dutch restaurant, and did some shopping. While I was in the area, I decided that I wasn't going home without a handmade quilt for Margaret. I asked around to find the best place to buy one, and I ended up at a farmhouse in the country that had more than a dozen quilts hanging on the front porch. I bought her the most beautiful one they had and had them wrap it up. I couldn't wait to give it to her when I got home. And as I hoped, when she opened the package, she was delighted. I've really enjoyed bringing gifts back to Margaret and the kids over the years. And it's fun to tell them about some of the things that happened. It's a way to share the trip with them. But I've discovered that no matter what you bring back or what you do to include your family after you've gotten back from the trip, it doesn't compare to having them there with you. I love taking my family with me, including on business trips, because I get the chance to share the opportunities and the rewards of the journey. Together, Margaret, Elizabeth, Joel Porter, and I went to the capitals of Europe, the jungles of South America, the teeming cities of Korea, the rugged outback of Australia, and on safari in South Africa. Now that my kids are married with children of their own, we still make family trips a priority. Traveling together, we've met wonderful people of every race and a multitude of nationalities. We've had the chance to see and do things that will remain in our memories for the rest of our lives. Those trips have been fun. But our travels around the globe don't in any way compare to another trip I've taken them on, the success journey. What would it profit me to gain the whole world and lose my family? As I talked to people about the idea of the success journey and listened to them talk about their experiences, I heard interesting stories. For example, Stephanie Wetzel told me about an incident from a choir trip she took in high school. She and a choir of about 50 were traveling together across the country on a bus along with her choir director and his whole family, his wife, high school-age daughter, and 7-year-old son. The worst part of the trip was the long, hot drive across Texas. To break up the monotony, they would pull over at a rest stop every now and then to give the kids a chance to stretch their legs and go to the bathroom. After they had made one of these stops out in the middle of nowhere, they had been driving for almost an hour when they made a discovery. They couldn't find the director's 7-year-old son. They immediately turned around and headed back toward the rest area. The director kept pleading with the driver to go faster. They couldn't stop thinking about some of the terrible things that could have happened to him in an hour's time. By the time they finally arrived at the rest stop, they were in a panic. Everyone scrambled out of the bus and began looking for him. It didn't take long. One of the boys found him in the men's room, killing flies. He hadn't even realized he had been missed. If you have children, you know how traumatic an incident like that can be for a parent. Yet as much as parents love their children, every day many of them walk away from their families in the pursuit of success. It's almost as though they're driving down the road, and they get pretty far along before they realize they've left members of their family behind. The tragedy is that many value their careers, success, or personal happiness more than they do their families. They decide that it's too much work to go back, so they just keep driving. They leave their spouses and children behind to fend for themselves, just like that little boy would have been if the choir director hadn't gone back for him. Did you know that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, families dissolve at a greater rate in the United States than in any other major industrialized country? And we also lead in the number of fathers absent from the home. U.S. divorce laws are the most permissive in the world, and people are using them at an alarming rate. 1 To some people, marriages and families have become acceptable casualties in the pursuit of success. But many people are now realizing that the hope of happiness at the expense of breaking up a family is an illusion. You can't give up your marriage or neglect your children and gain true success. Building and maintaining strong families benefits us in every way, including in helping us make the success journey. Steps to building a strong family. Good marriages and strong families are joys, and they make the success journey worthwhile. But they don't just happen on their own. Dr. R.C. Adams, who studied thousands of marriages over a 10-year period, found that only 17% of the unions he studied could be considered truly happy. And Jarl Breers, director of the Institute of Marriage and Family Relations in Washington, D.C., said, "We are finally realizing that we have to go back to the basics in order to re-establish the type of families that give us the type of security that children can grow up in. If we want to have solid families and healthy marriages, we have to work hard to create them. If you have a family, or you intend to have one in the future, take a look at the following guidelines. They help to develop the Maxwell family, and I believe they can help you to strengthen yours. Express appreciation for each other. I once heard someone joke that home is the place where family members go when they are tired of being nice to other people. Unfortunately, some homes seem to work that way. A salesman spends his day treating his clients with the utmost kindness, often in the face of rejection, in order to build his business, but he is rude to his wife when he comes home. Or a doctor spends the day being caring and compassionate with her patients, but she comes home exhausted and blows up at her children. To build a strong family, you have to make your home a supportive environment. Psychologist William James observed, "In every person from the cradle to the grave, there is a deep craving to be appreciated. Feeling appreciated brings out the best in people. And when that appreciation comes in the home and is coupled with acceptance, love, and encouragement, the bonds between family members grow, and the home becomes a safe haven for everyone." I believe that the ability to appreciate each other comes first from the ability to understand how your family members are designed. If you're married, you're probably already aware of many of the differences between you and your spouse. You probably even expect differences. But you may be surprised to know that your children are also likely to be different, not only from each other but from you and your spouse. A book written by Florence Littar called Personality Plus helped Margaret and me understand our differences with the kids and each other. The information came as a great surprise and relief. It gave us insight into the 4 basic personality types. Sanguine, desires fun, is outgoing, relationship-oriented, witty, easygoing, popular, artistic, emotional, outspoken, and optimistic. Melancholy, desires perfection, is introverted, task-oriented, artistic, emotional, goal-oriented, organized, and pessimistic. Phlegmatic, desires peace, is introverted, unemotional, strong-willed, relationship-oriented, pessimistic, and purpose-driven. Choleric, desires power or control, is strong-willed, decisive, goal-oriented, organized, unemotional, outgoing, outspoken, and optimistic. 2. Everyone in your family, and for that matter, every person you meet, will exhibit characteristics primarily from 1 or 2 of these personality types. Another tool for helping you appreciate each family member's uniqueness is the ability to see each other's natural talents or intelligences as described by Thomas Armstrong in his book 7 Kinds of Smart. When most of us look at others, we tend to measure them against our own talents or against a traditional academic view of intelligence. But Armstrong described 7 different kinds of intelligence that all people have to one degree or another. 1. Linguistic intelligence, the ability to use words. People who are smart in this area can argue, persuade, entertain, or instruct effectively using the spoken word. They often love puns, word games, and trivia, read voraciously, and write clearly. Examples: William Shakespeare, James Joyce, and Abraham Lincoln. 2. Logical mathematical intelligence. Working with numbers and logic. People with talent in this area have the ability to reason, create hypotheses, think in terms of cause and effect, and find conceptual or numerical patterns in the things around them. Examples: Albert Einstein, Sir Isaac Newton, Bill Gates. 3. Spatial intelligence. Thinking in pictures and images. People with spatial ability can perceive, transform, and recreate different aspects of the visual spatial world. They are sensitive to visual details, can visualize vividly, orient themselves in three-dimensional space, and often draw or sketch ideas. Examples: Pablo Picasso, Thomas Edison, and Frank Lloyd Wright. 4. Musical intelligence. Perceiving, appreciating, and producing rhythms and melodies. People with this intelligence have a good ear, can keep time, sing in tune, and listen to music with discernment. Examples: Johann Sebastian Bach, George Gershwin, and Beverly Sills. 5. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Knowing the physical self. People with gifts in this area are good at controlling their body movements, handling objects skillfully, and performing other physical activities. Examples: Michael Jordan, Charlie Chaplin, and Fred Astaire. 6. Interpersonal intelligence. Understanding and working with people. Those who have this intelligence are able to perceive and be responsive to the moods, temperaments, intentions, and desires of others. Examples: Ronald Reagan, Mother Teresa, and Zig Ziglar. 7. Intrapersonal intelligence. Knowing the inner self. People gifted in this area are introspective, good at assessing their own feelings, and capable of deep spiritual or intellectual thought. Examples: John Wesley, Laurence Olivier, and Joyce Brothers. 3. All of us have a blend of strengths and weaknesses in each area that makes us unique. And once you have a good understanding of how the other members of your family are designed, it becomes easier for you to be more sensitive to each other and to express love for each other. I've heard that for every negative remark to a family member, it takes 4 positive statements to counteract the damage. That's why it's so important to focus on the positive aspects of each other's personality and express unconditional love for each other, both verbally and non-verbally. Then the home becomes a positive environment for everyone. Structure your lives to spend time together. It's been said that the American home has become a domestic cloverleaf upon which family members pass each other while en route to a multitude of places and activities. That seems to be true. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time with my parents, brother, and sister. We went on family vacations, usually in the car. We had regular Saturday outings where we did things together such as going swimming, watching a ball game, or going to the movies. And we ate dinner together every day. That was our special family time, and we knew not to make any plans that conflicted with it. As a parent, it was harder for me to keep that tradition alive. We've been good about planning and taking vacations together, but sometimes we've had to be creative to have time together. For example, when the children were younger, I always tried to drive them to school in the morning to spend some time with them. And I made it a practice to spend a few minutes with them individually at bedtime. But with all the things going on in our busy lives, we found that the only way to get time together was to plan it carefully. Every month, I spend several hours examining my traveling schedule, figuring out what lessons I need to write, thinking about the projects I have to complete, and so on. And at that time, I'll plan my work for the whole month. But before I mark any dates for work, I write in all the important dates for family activities. I'll block out time for birthdays, anniversaries, ball games, theater performances, graduation ceremonies, concerts, and romantic dinners. And I'll also schedule special one-on-one time with Margaret and each of the kids and grandkids so that we can continue to build our relationships. Then once those are set, I'll plan my work schedule around them. I've done this for years, and it's been the only thing that's prevented my work from squeezing my family out of the schedule. I've found that if I don't strategically structure my life to spend time with my family, it won't happen. Deal with crisis in a positive way. Every family experiences problems, but not all families respond to them in the same way. And that often separates a family that's close from one that's barely holding together. I've noticed that some people pursuing success seem to avoid the home environment. I suspect that one reason is that they are not able to handle family crisis situations well. They find it easier to try to avoid the problems altogether. But that's not a solution. M. Scott Peck, author of The Road Less Traveled, has offered some remarkable insights on the subject of problems and how we handle them. It is in this whole process of meeting and solving problems that life has meaning. Problems are the cutting edge that distinguishes between success and failure. Problems call forth our courage and wisdom, indeed they create our courage and our wisdom. It is only because of problems that we grow mentally and spiritually. It is through the pain of confronting and resolving problems that we learn. As Benjamin Franklin said, those things that hurt, instruct. If we are to grow as families and be successful at home as well as in the other areas of our lives, we must learn to cope with the difficulties we find there. Here are some strategies to help you with the problem-solving process. Attack the problem, never the person. Always try to be supportive of each other. Remember, you're all on the same side. So don't take your frustrations out on people. Instead, attack the problem. Get all the facts. Nothing can cause more damage than jumping to false conclusions during a crisis. Don't waste your emotional or physical energy chasing down a wrong problem. Before you try to find solutions, be sure you know what's really going on. List all the options. This may sound a bit analytical, but it really helps because you can look at emotional subjects with some objectivity. Besides, if you had a problem at work, you would probably be willing to go through this process. Give any family problem at least as much time and energy as you would a professional one. Choose the best solution. As you decide on a solution, always remember that people are your priority. Make your choices accordingly. Look for the positives in the problem. As Dr. Peck said, the tough things give us a chance to grow. No matter how bad things look at the moment, just about everything has something positive that comes from it. Never withhold love. No matter how bad things get or how angry you are, never withhold your love from your spouse or children. Sure, tell them how you feel. Acknowledge the problems. But continue loving family members unconditionally through it all. This last point is the most important of all. When you feel loved and supported by your family, you can weather nearly any crisis. And you can truly enjoy success. Communicate continually. An article in the Dallas Morning News reported that the average couple married 10 years or more spends only 37 minutes a week in meaningful communication. I could hardly believe it. Compare that to the fact that the average American spends almost 5 times longer than that watching television every day. No wonder so many marriages are in trouble. Just like anything else, good communication doesn't develop by itself. It must be developed, and that process takes time and effort. Here are some suggestions for helping you do exactly that. Develop platforms for communication. Be creative about finding reasons to talk to each other. Take walks together as a family where you can talk. Call your spouse a couple of times during the day. Meet for lunch 1 day a week. Offer to drive the kids to soccer practice so you can talk. Communication can happen almost anywhere. Control communication killers. The television, computer, and telephone probably steal the most family communication time. Restrict the amount of time you give them, and you'd be amazed by how much time you have to talk. Encourage honesty and transparency in conversations. Differences of opinion are healthy and normal in a family. Encourage all family members to speak their minds, and then when they do, never criticize or ridicule them. Adopt a positive communication style. Be conscious of the way you interact with your family members. You may have adopted a style that stifles open communication. If you're in the habit of using any communication style other than a cooperative one, begin working immediately to change. You'll have to do that if you want to build your relationship with your family. Share the same values. I read an article by Dottie and Rico in USA Today called Survey, Fallen Heroes Among Most Admired Athletes. It came out during O.J. Simpson's criminal trial for murder. The article reported on a survey performed by Sponsorship Research International of Stamford, Connecticut, and the results were astounding. Among the top 20 athletes listed as most admired were Mike Tyson, O.J. Simpson, and Tonya Harding. The article went on to say, behavioral specialists say the presence of Tyson, a convicted rapist, Simpson, on trial for murder, and Harding, who pleaded guilty to conspiracy, on the list is a disturbing statement about American values. One of the reasons people seem to be going astray when it comes to values is that families don't give them the attention they once did. Boston College education professor William Kilpatrick said, "There is a myth that parents don't have the right to instill their values in their children. Once again, the standard dogma here is that children must create their own values. But of course, children have precious little chance to do that. Does it make sense for parents to remain neutral bystanders when everyone else from scriptwriters, to entertainers, to advertisers, to sex educators insist on selling their values to children? 4. Common values strengthen a family and are especially beneficial to children as they grow up. A study conducted by the Search Institute showed that in single-parent homes, children whose parent expresses and enforces standards thrive at twice the rate of children who don't have values promoted in a similar way. 5. And that doesn't even take into account whether the values are what we would consider positive. The best way to get started in working towards sharing common values in your family is to identify the values you want to instill. If you're like most families, you've never done that before. But to be able to live them out, you first have to find them out. They are the 3 to 7 things you're willing to go to the mat for. Let me list for you the 5 we've identified in the Maxwell family so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about. 1. Commitment to God. 2. Commitment to personal and family growth. 3. Commonly shared experiences. 4. Confidence in ourselves and others. 5. The desire to make a contribution in life. The values you choose will undoubtedly be different from ours, but you need to identify them. If you've never done it before, set aside some time to talk about your values with your spouse and children. If your kids are older, include them in the process of identifying the values. Make it a discussion time. And never be reluctant to take on the role of model and teacher of your family's values. If you don't do it, someone else will. Build your marriage. Finally, if you are married, the best thing you can do to strengthen your family is to build your marriage relationship. It's certainly the best thing you can do for your spouse, but it also has an incredibly positive impact on your children. My friend Josh McDowell wisely stated, "The greatest thing a father can do for his children is to love their mother. And the greatest thing a mother can do for her children is to love their father." A common missing ingredient in many marriages is dedication to make things work. Marriages may start because of love, but they finish because of commitment. Sexuality researcher Dr. Alfred Kinsey, who studied 6,000 marriages and 3,000 divorces, revealed that there may be nothing more important in a marriage than a determination that it shall persist. With such a determination, individuals force themselves to adjust and to accept situations which would seem sufficient grounds for a breakup if continuation of the marriage were not the prime objective. If you want to help your spouse, your children, and yourself, then become committed to building and sustaining a strong marriage. I believe that few people have ever been truly successful without a positive, supportive family. No matter how great people's accomplishments are, I think they're still missing something when they're working without the benefit of those close relationships. True, some people are called to be single, but they are rare. For most people, a good family helps you know your purpose and develop your potential, and it helps you enjoy the journey along the way with an intensity that isn't possible otherwise. And when it comes to sowing seeds that benefit others, who could possibly derive greater benefit from you than your own family members? Sometimes we need to be given a jolt to wake us up to the less than acceptable way we've been interacting with the people in our families. I know that happened to a friend of mine whom I met through my involvement with the Christian men's movement Promise Keepers. He said that one day when his daughter was in first or second grade, she and her classmates were asked to draw a picture of their families. She loved to draw, so she willingly tackled the assignment. That evening, she proudly brought her artwork home and showed it to her parents. When my friend looked at the picture, he said, "What's this a picture of?" "That's us in our house," she answered. "The teacher asked us to draw a picture of our family." He looked at the picture more carefully and saw that everyone was there. Except him. "Sweetheart," he asked, "is Daddy in the picture?" "No," she said. "Why not?" "This is a picture of us at home, and you're never here," she explained. It was as if she had dropped a piano on him. She had said it as a simple fact, without malice or any desire to inflict guilt. That was the day he decided that he was going to turn the bus around and come back for his family. If you've been traveling down the road on the success journey but you've neglected to bring your family along, it's time for you to make a U-turn. Go back and pick up the people who matter most in your life. And commit yourself to following a road that includes them. What greater joy could there be than a family trip of success? Who else should I take with me? When our daughter, Elizabeth, was in her senior year of high school, Margaret and I decided to take her, and the rest of the family, on a trip to Hawaii as a graduation present. We told her about our plans several months in advance because Elizabeth isn't crazy about surprises. She likes to have time to process decisions and prepare herself mentally for change. We also told her that she could invite one of her girlfriends to go along with her on the trip. For 3 months Elizabeth agonized over who she should take with her. A couple of times Margaret and I got impatient and wanted to make the decision for her. That just reflects our personalities. But we resisted the temptation. We understood that no one can pick someone else's traveling companion. And Elizabeth finally made her choice, picking the girl she thought would be most compatible with her. The result, both had a wonderful time. Maybe you haven't thought about it, but you're going to have to make similar decisions as you take the success journey. One of the questions you will need to ask yourself is, who should I take along with me? Certainly if you have a family, you will take them with you. But who else should go along? You might be saying to yourself, why would I want to take anybody else? If I can make the journey myself and even take my family with me, I don't need anyone else, do I? Although you may be able to take the journey without others, I can tell you that you will never be able to reach your maximum potential and go to the highest level if you take the journey alone. Living at the highest level. Over time I've learned this meaningful lesson: the people closest to me determine my level of success or failure. The better they are, the better I am. And if I want to go to the highest level, I can do it only with the help of other people. We have to take each other higher. I discovered this truth as I approached my 40th birthday. At that time I already felt very successful. I was the leader of the largest church in my denomination. I had published 5 books. I was recognized as an authority on leadership, and I was teaching the subject in conferences and via audio lessons every month. I was fulfilling the purpose for which I was created, daily growing to my potential, and sowing seeds that benefited others. But my desire was to make an even greater impact on others. I wanted to go to a whole new level. My problem was that I had hit a wall. I was running a large organization that required much of my time. I had a family. I was writing books, leadership lessons, and sermons continually. And on top of that, my travel schedule was packed. I couldn't squeeze another thing into my schedule with a shoehorn and a bucket of axle grease. That's when I made the amazing discovery. The only places where my influence and productivity were growing were where I had identified potential leaders and developed them. My intention in developing leaders had been to help them improve themselves, but I found I was benefiting too. Spending time with them had been like investing money. They had grown, and at the same time I had reaped incredible dividends. That's when I realized that if I was to make it to the next level, I was going to have to extend myself through others. I would find leaders and pour my life into them, doing my best to bring them up to a new level. And as they improved, so would I. The people around you determine your success. That process has changed my life. I've gone farther on the success journey and to a higher level than I ever dreamed about. And the people around me deserve a huge amount of the credit for my success. Margaret Maxwell, it all begins with her. Marrying Margaret is the smartest thing I ever did. Whatever success I've achieved, personally and professionally, I owe to her. Dan Ryland, he has been with me for more than 30 years. Dan has carried a tremendous load for me. And he is one of the best developers of people that I've ever met. Stan Toller, I've known him for more than 40 years. He is one of the greatest people persons I've ever known. Linda Eggers, my incredible personal assistant, she has worked for me for 25 years. No one does more for me than Linda. She keeps straight a life that by all rights should be total chaos. There are a number of energetic people who help me in my organizations, and because of them I am able to do more things, teach more seminars, write more books, and touch many more lives. There is almost no limit to what I can accomplish because of the wonderful people I have around me. Finding the right people for the journey. Having exceptional people on the journey with you doesn't happen by accident. It's true that the greater your dream, the greater the people who will be attracted to you. But that alone isn't enough. You need to know what to look for in order to find the best possible people. And you need to start by making sure they're compatible with you, just as Elizabeth did with her friend before going to Hawaii. Even before you begin looking at the qualities that make a person right for going on the journey with you, you need to ask yourself a few questions about him. The first one is, does this person want to go? That was a hard lesson for me to learn because, early on, I wanted to take everybody with me. I'm a fun-loving, sanguine kind of guy, and I want to be successful. I just assumed that everyone wanted what I did, to be successful and to strive to reach his potential. But that's not true. Many people have no desire to grow whatsoever. Their goal is to find a comfortable place so that they can go on cruise control for the rest of their lives. And a person may not want to go on the journey with you for other reasons. For example, he may want to grow just as much as you do, but his interests don't coincide with yours. As a result, there is no compatibility. Margaret really helped me learn this lesson, and now I try to recruit only the people who are interested in going with me. The second question you need to ask is this person able to go? There has to be a match between the journey you want to take and the person's gifts and talents. For example, let's say your dream is to be a professional country singer. And you want to make a good living so that you can help inner-city kids. The people you'll want to join you on the journey will probably have musical talent, business skills, or experience ministering to inner-city kids. Anyone having no talents in these areas is much less likely to be compatible with you and your dream. The third question you should ask is, can this person make the trip without me? You can look at some people and know they have everything it takes to make the success journey on their own. They have their own roadmaps and are not going to need your help. In fact, they are likely to be in a position to take others on the journey with them, just as you are going to do. In that case, make friends with them and try to keep in touch. Though you may not take the journey together, you may be able to help one another down the road as colleagues. Once you've settled these issues, you're ready to look for people whom you will be able to help reach their potential and who will also help you reach yours. And that means finding potential leaders. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Over the years, I've narrowed down what I look for in a potential leader to only 10 things, and I want to share them with you. Here they are in order of importance. The people I want to take with me on my success journey. 1. Make things happen. Millionaire philanthropist Andrew Carnegie said, "As I grow older, I pay less attention to what men say. I just watch what they do." I've found that to be sound advice. And as I've watched what people do, I've discovered that the ones I want with me are people who make things happen. These people discover resources in places you thought were barren. They find prospects where you believed there weren't any. They create opportunities where you thought none existed. They take something average and make it exceptional. They never make excuses, they always find a way to make things happen. Even under the worst of circumstances, or with major disabilities, people with potential make things happen. Dr. George W. Crane observed, "There is no future in any job. The future lies in the person who holds the job." If you want to go far on the success journey, partner with others who know how to make things happen. 2. See and seize opportunities. Many people are able to recognize an opportunity after it has already passed them by. But seeing opportunities coming, that's a different matter. Opportunities are seldom labeled. That's why you have to learn what they look like and how to seize them. The best people to take with you on the journey don't sit back and wait for opportunities to come to them. They make it their responsibility to go out and find them. It's similar to the 2 ways you can go about picking up someone you don't know from the airport. One way is to make a sign with the name of the person you're expecting, stand near the baggage claim area, hold up the sign, and wait for the person to find you. If he sees you, great. If he doesn't, you keep waiting. The other way is to find out what the person looks like, position yourself strategically near the right gate, and search for him until you find him. There's a world of difference between the 2 approaches. Ask yourself, of the people around you, who always seems able to recognize opportunities and grab hold of them? The people with these qualities are the ones you're probably going to want to take with you on the success journey. 3. Influence others. I mentioned before that everything rises and falls on leadership. That's true because a person's ability to make things happen in and through others depends entirely on our ability to lead them. Without leadership, there is no teamwork, and people go their own way. If your dream is big and will require the teamwork of a group of people, then any potential leaders you select to go with you on the journey will need to be people of influence. After all, that's what leadership is, influence. And when you think about it, all leaders have 2 things in common: they're going somewhere, and they're able to persuade others to go with them. As you look at the people around you, consider the following. Who influences them? You can tell a lot about who they will influence and how they will go about doing it by knowing who their heroes and mentors are. Who do they influence? You'll be able to judge their current level of leadership effectiveness by who they influence. Is their influence increasing or decreasing? You can tell whether a person is a past leader or a potential leader by examining which direction the level of influence is going. To be a good judge of potential leaders, don't just see the person, see all the people that person influences. The greater the influence, the greater the leadership potential and the ability to get others to work with you to accomplish your dream. 4. Add value. Every person around you has an effect on you and your ability to fulfill your vision. You've probably noticed this before. Some people seem to hinder you, always taking more from you than they give in return. Others add value to you, improving everything you do. When they come alongside you, synergy develops that takes both of you to a new level. Lots of wonderful people have added value to me through the years, starting with the people I listed at the beginning of this chapter. Many of them have made it their main goal in life to help me. They complement my weaknesses and encourage my strengths. Their presence with me on the journey actually expands my vision. Alone, maybe I could have achieved some success. But they have truly made me much better than I could have been without them. And in response, I have always given them my best, trusted them implicitly, given them opportunities to make a difference, and added value to their lives. There are probably people in your life with whom you experience synergy. You inspire and take each other to higher levels. Can you think of anybody better to take on the success journey? Not only would they help you go far, but they would make the journey more fun. 5. Attract other leaders. As you look for potential leaders to take with you on the success journey, you need to realize that there are really two kinds of leaders: those who attract followers and those who attract other leaders. People who attract and team up only with followers will never be able to do anything beyond what they can personally touch or supervise. For each person they interact with, they're influencing only one person, a follower. But people who attract leaders influence many other people through their interaction. Their team can be incredible, especially if the leaders they recruit also attract other leaders. Besides the obvious factor of influence, there are other significant differences between people who attract followers and people who attract leaders. Here are a few. Leaders who attract followers. Leaders who attract leaders. Need to be needed. Want recognition. Focus on others' weaknesses. Want to hold on to power. Spend their time with others. Are good leaders. Experience some success. Want to be succeeded. Want to reproduce themselves. Focus on others' strengths. Want to share power. Invest their time in others. Are great leaders. Experience incredible success. As you look for people to join you on the journey, look for leaders who attract other leaders. They will be able to multiply your success. But also know this: in the long run, you can only lead people whose leadership ability is less than or equal to your own. To keep attracting better and better leaders, you will have to keep developing your leadership ability. In that way, you and your team will continue growing not only in potential but also in effectiveness. 6. Equip others. It's one thing to attract other people to you and have them join you on the success journey. It's another to equip them with a roadmap for the trip. The best people always give others more than an invitation, they provide the means to get them there. I'll cover this subject in more depth in the next chapter. Think about this as you search for potential leaders. A person with charisma alone can draw others to her, yet she may not be able to get them to go on the success journey. However, a leader who is an equipper can empower an army of successful people capable of going anywhere and accomplishing almost anything. As Harvey Firestone said, it is only as we develop others that we permanently succeed. 7. Provide inspiring ideas. 19th century author-playwright Victor Hugo observed, "There's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come." Ideas are the greatest resource a successful person could ever have. And when you surround yourself with creative people, you're never at a loss for inspiring ideas. If you and the people around you continually generate good ideas, all of you have a better opportunity to reach your potential. According to Art Cornwell, author of Freeing the Corporate Mind, How to Spur Innovation in Business, creative thinking is what generates ideas. And the better you understand how to generate ideas, the better off you'll be. He suggests, the only truly bad ideas are those that die without giving rise to other ideas. If you want good ideas, you need a lot of ideas. It doesn't matter if it ain't broke. It probably still can use fixing. Great ideas are nothing more than the restructuring of what you already know. When all your ideas are added together, the sum should represent your breakthrough point 1. You are capable of generating good ideas, probably better able than you think. But you can never have too many ideas. That would be like saying you have too big a budget or too many resources when you're working on a project. That's why you would do well to get people around you who will continue to inspire you with their ideas. And when you find someone with whom you have natural chemistry, the kind that inspires each of you to greatness, you'll find that you always have more ideas than time to carry them out. 1. Possess uncommonly positive attitudes. You already know how important a good attitude is to your success. It determines how far you will be able to go on the success journey. But don't underestimate the importance of a positive attitude in the people around you either. When you travel with others, you can go only as fast as the slowest person and as far as the weakest one can travel. Having people around you with negative attitudes is like running a race with a ball and chain on your ankle. You may be able to run for a while, but you're going to get tired fast, and you certainly won't be able to run as far as you'd like. 2. Live up to their commitments. It's been said that commitment is another name for success. And that's really true. Commitment takes a person to a whole new level when it comes to success. Look at the advantages of commitment as described by motivational speaker Joe Griffith. You cannot keep a committed person from success. Place stumbling blocks in his way, and he takes them for stepping stones, and on them he will climb to greatness. Take away his money, and he makes spurs of his poverty to urge him on. The person who succeeds has a program. He fixes his course and adheres to it, he lays his plans and executes them, he goes straight to his goal. He is not pushed this side and that every time a difficulty is thrust in his way. If he can't go over it, he goes through it. Point 2. When the people on your team share your level of commitment, success is inevitable. Commitment helps you overcome obstacles and continue moving forward on the success journey no matter how tough the going gets. It is the key to success in every aspect of life: marriage, business, personal development, hobbies, sports, you name it. Commitment can carry you a very long way. 3. Have loyalty. The last quality you should look for in people to join you on your journey is loyalty. Although this alone does not ensure success in another person, a lack of loyalty is sure to ruin your relationship with him or her. Think of it this way. When you're looking for potential leaders, if someone you're considering lacks loyalty, he is disqualified. Don't even consider taking him on the journey with you because in the end, he'll hurt you more than help you. So what does it mean for others to be loyal to you? They love you unconditionally. They accept you with your strengths and weaknesses intact. They genuinely care for you, not just for what you can do for them. And they are neither trying to make you into someone you're not nor putting you on a pedestal. They represent you well to others. Loyal people always paint a positive picture of you with others. They may take you to task privately or hold you accountable, but they never criticize you to others. They are able to laugh and cry with you as you travel together. Loyal people are willing and able to share your joys and sorrows. They make the trip less lonely. They make your dream their dream. Some people will undoubtedly share the journey with you only briefly. You help one another for a while and then go your separate ways. But a few, a special few, will want to come alongside you and help you for the rest of the journey. These people make your dream their dream. They will be loyal unto death, and when they combine that loyalty with other talents and abilities, they can be some of your most valuable assets. If you find people like that, take good care of them. Steps to take along the way. Who else should I take with me? 1. Use the following list of qualities to identify the people you want to recruit to take the success journey with you. Write the names of several people you know who exemplify each characteristic. A. Make things happen. B. See and seize opportunities. C. Influence others. D. Add value. E. Attract other leaders. F. Equip others. G. Provide inspiring ideas. H. Possess uncommonly positive attitudes. I. Live up to their commitments. J. Have loyalty. Your response. 2. Now look at your answers and see which names have been repeated most often. Pick the top 1 to 3 people. These are the best candidates to take the success journey with you. Write their names below, along with the names of the members of your immediate family. Your response. The people I'll take on my success journey. 10. What should we do along the way? Have you ever read a book that changed your life, one that revolutionized your thinking and altered how you live in a significant way? I have. In fact, there have been several. But the one that stands out most in my mind is a book I read in 1970 by Dr. Elmer Towns called The 10 Fastest Growing Sunday Schools in America. It was written for people in my then profession, and it fueled my dreams and inspired me to dedicate myself to becoming better than I was. And it really propelled me in the direction my life was to take. Little did I know then that my journey and destiny would be linked with those of the book's author, Elmer Towns. In 1975, I heard about a conference in Waterloo, Iowa, where Elmer was going to be a speaker, and I jumped at the chance to go. I tried to talk with him several times during the break so that I could tell him about the incredible influence he had on my life, but each time I tried there was a mob of people around him, and I just couldn't get close to him. After the conference was over, I went to a Howard Johnson's restaurant to eat lunch, and I had just sat down when who should walk in but Elmer Towns. I introduced myself to him as he came by, and he said, "Come sit with us so that we can get to know each other a little bit." So there I was, sitting at the table with one of my heroes. I couldn't eat a bite of my lunch, I was so excited I couldn't seem to swallow. And I was thrilled when he suggested that I change my travel time so that I could take the same flight with him to Chicago and sit with him and talk. We got to know each other a little that day, and it was a wonderful experience. A year later, as I prepared to host my first conference, I decided that I had to have Elmer as one of the speakers. So I called him up and invited him, and, to my delight, he said yes. Not only did he come and speak at the conference, but he spent time with me, casting vision for my life, challenging me to grow, and sharing his insight and wisdom. Over the years, Elmer has been an incredible influence on me. He has been a mentor and friend, and he has inspired me to be a good leader. Many years ago, I had a chance to honor him publicly by sharing what he has meant to me with 1,000 people at a banquet following one of my conferences. And for the occasion, I gave him a gift. Elmer and I both collect signatures of great leaders. I have signed letters from about a dozen presidents and several clergymen, such as my hero John Wesley. My wife, Margaret, gets them beautifully framed for me, and I keep them on display. Not long before the event, I found and purchased an outline of a sermon written by 19th century preacher C.H. Spurgeon. It was a remarkable find. The sermon used as its text the passage from the Bible that says, "Stir up the gift of God," which is in the one. It's a passage written by the Apostle Paul to his protege, Timothy, encouraging him to use his gifts and pursue his destiny. I had the Spurgeon sermon only a few months when I realized that I wanted to give it to Elmer at the banquet. Margaret asked me more than once, "Are you sure, John? You may never find another Spurgeon." But I knew it was the right thing to do. I wanted to honor Elmer and give him a gift of appreciation for all he had done, and I couldn't think of a better thing to give him. Elmer loves Spurgeon, and the text by Paul to Timothy perfectly described what Elmer had done for me. He had encouraged me to stir up the gift God had given me. So at the banquet, it was a real thrill to tell all those people about the wonderful things Elmer had done to mentor me over the years and to thank him with that gift. What Elmer did with me, I have tried to pass on to others. I've already spent a good part of my life teaching and mentoring others in the areas of leadership, personal growth, spiritual development, and success. And I have dedicated the rest of my time on earth to continuing to do that. So the answer to the question that is the title of this chapter, "What should I do along the way?" is this: take somebody with you. It's not enough for you to finish the race. To really be successful, you need to take somebody with you across the finish line. Henry Ford maintained that most people think of success, in terms of getting. Success, however, begins in terms of giving, too. Why many don't take anyone along? Most people who desire success focus almost entirely on themselves, not others, when they start to make the journey. They usually think in terms of what they can get, in position, power, prestige, money, and similar perks. But that's not the way to become truly successful. To do that, you have to give to others. As Douglas M. Lawson said, "We exist temporarily through what we take, but we live forever through what we give." That's why it's so essential to focus on raising others to a higher level. And we can do that with people from every area of our lives, At work and home, in church, in the clubhouse. That's evidently what Texas Representative Wright Patman did, according to a story told by Senator Paul Simon. He said that Patman died at age 82 while serving in the U.S. House of Representatives. At his funeral, an older woman who lived in his district was heard to have said, "He rose up mighty high, but he brung us all up with him." If mentoring others is such a rewarding calling, why doesn't everyone do it? One reason is that it takes work. But there are also many others. Here are a few of the most common ones. Insecurity. Virginia Arcastle commented, "When people are made to feel secure and important and appreciated, it will no longer be necessary for them to whittle down others in order to seem bigger in comparison." That's what insecure people tend to do, make themselves look better at others' expense. Truly successful people, on the other hand, raise others up. And they don't feel threatened by the thought of having others become more successful and move to a higher level. They are growing and striving for their potential, they aren't worried about having someone replace them. Raising up others is a successful person's joy. Ego. Some people's egos are so huge that they have to be either the bride at the wedding or the corpse at the funeral. They think other people exist only to serve them in some way or another. Adolf Hitler was like that. According to Robert Waite, when Hitler was searching for a chauffeur, he interviewed 30 candidates for the job. He selected the shortest man in the group and kept him as his personal driver for the rest of his life, even though the man required special blocks under the driver's seat so that he could see over the steering wheel. 3 Hitler used others to make himself appear bigger and better than he really was. A person consumed with himself never considers spending time raising others up. Inability to discern people's success seeds. I believe every person has the seed of success inside. Too many people can't find it in themselves, let alone in others, and as a result, they don't reach their potential. But many do find that seed, and chances are, you are one of those people. The good news is that once you are able to find it in yourself, you're better able to do the same with others. When you do, it benefits both of you because you and the person you help will be able to fulfill the purposes for which each was born. The ability to find another's seed of success takes commitment, diligence, and a genuine desire to focus on others. You have to look at the person's gifts, temperament, passions, successes, joys, and opportunities. And once you find that seed, you need to fertilize it with encouragement and water it with opportunity. If you do, the person will blossom before your eyes. What you need to know as you start raising people to a higher level and helping them be successful involves more than giving them information or skills. If that were not the case, every new employee would go from trainee to success as soon as he understood how to do his job. Every child would be successful whenever she learned something new at school. But success doesn't automatically follow knowledge. The process is complicated because you're working with people. However, understanding some basic concepts about people opens the door to your ability to develop others. For example, remind yourself that everyone wants to feel worthwhile. Donald Laird said, "Always help people increase their own self-esteem." Develop your skill in making other people feel important. There is hardly a higher compliment you can pay an individual than helping him be useful and to find satisfaction from his usefulness. Where a person doesn't feel good about himself, he will never believe he is successful, no matter what he accomplishes. But a person who feels worthwhile is ripe for success. Everyone needs and responds to encouragement. One of my favorite quotes comes from industrialist Charles Schwab, who said, "I have yet to find the man, however exalted his station, who did not do better work and put forth greater effort under a spirit of approval than under a spirit of criticism." If you desire to raise another person up, then you need to become one of her staunchest supporters. People can tell when you don't believe in them. People buy into the person before buying into their leadership. Many unsuccessful people who try to lead others have the mistaken belief that people will follow them because their cause is good. But that's not the way leadership works. People will follow you only when they believe in you. That principle applies even when you're offering to develop other people and raise them to a higher level. The more you understand people, the greater your chance of success in mentoring. And if you have highly developed people skills and genuinely care about others, the process will probably come to you naturally. How to take others for a life-changing ride. Whether you have a gift for interacting positively with people or you have to really work at it, you are capable of mentoring others and lifting them to a higher level. You can help them develop a roadmap for success and go on the success journey with you as long as you keep growing as a person and a leader. Here are the steps you will need to take in order to take people for a ride. One that will change their lives forever. 1. Make people development your top priority. If you want to succeed in developing people, you have to make it a top priority. It's always easier to dismiss people than to develop them. If you don't believe it, just ask any employer or divorce attorney. But many people don't realize that while dismissing others is easy, it also has a high price. In business, the costs come from lost productivity, administrative costs of firing and hiring, and low morale. In marriage, the cost is often broken lives. If you want to make a difference in the lives of others, commit yourself to developing people and taking them on the trip with you. 2. Limit who you take along. Like it or not, you can't take everyone along with you on the success journey. As you begin to develop people, think of the journey as being similar to a trip in a small private plane. If you try to take too many people along, you'll never get off the ground. Besides, your time is limited, and it makes more sense to help a few learn how to fly and reach their potential rather than show a big group only enough to whet their appetites. When I teach leadership seminars, I always teach what's known as the Pareto 80-20 principle. In a nutshell, it says that if you focus your attention on the top 20% in anything you do, you will get an 80% return. In the case of developing people, you should spend 80% of your time developing only the top 20% of the people around you. That would include the most important people in your life, such as your family, and the people who have the most potential. If you try to mentor and develop more people than that, you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. 3. Develop relationships before starting out. Mentors make the common mistake of trying to lead others before developing relationships with them. Look around you, and you can see it happening all the time. A new manager starts with a company and expects the people working there to respond to her authority without question. A coach asks his players to trust him and go to the mat for him when they don't even know one another. A divorced father who hasn't seen his children in several years reinitiates contact with them and expects them to respond to him automatically, even though they haven't had time to rebuild the relationship yet. In each of these instances, the leader is expecting to make an impact on the people before building the relationship. The followers may comply with what the leader's position requires, but they'll never go beyond that. As you prepare to develop other people, take time to get to know each other. Ask them to share their stories with you, their journeys so far. Find out what makes them tick, their strengths and weaknesses, their temperaments. And spend some time with them outside the environment where you typically see them. If you work together, then play sports together. If you know each other from church, meet with them at their workplace. Another advantage to building relationships with people before starting on the journey together is that you find out what kind of traveling companions you're going to have. If you've ever gone on a trip with someone you ended up disliking, then you know what a difficult situation that can be. As you bring others alongside you for the success journey, pick people you expect to like. Then get to know them to verify your choice. It's the best way to be effective and enjoy the trip. 4. Give help unconditionally. When you start developing people, you should never go into it with the idea of getting something out of it. That attitude will almost certainly backfire on you. If you expect to get something in return and you don't, you will become bitter. And if you get back less than you expect, you'll resent the time you spent. No, you have to go into the process expecting nothing. Give for the sake of giving, just for the joy of seeing another person learn to fly. When you approach it that way, your attitude will always remain positive. And the times you do get something in return, it's a wonderful win-win situation. 1. Let them fly with you for a while. I want to share a secret with you. It guarantees success in mentoring. Are you ready? Here it is: never work alone. I know that sounds too simple, but it is truly the secret to developing others. Whenever you do anything that you want to pass along to others, take someone with you. This isn't necessarily a natural practice for many of us. The learning model that's used in America by most people for teaching others was passed down to us from the Greeks. It's a cognitive classroom approach, like the one used by Socrates to teach Plato, and Plato to teach Aristotle. The leader stands and speaks, asking questions or lecturing. The follower sits at his feet, listening. His goal is to comprehend the instructor's ideas. But that's not the only model available for developing others. We also have one used by another ancient culture, the Hebrews. Their method was more like on-the-job training. It was built on relationships and common experience. It's what craftspeople have done for centuries. They take apprentices who work alongside them until they master their craft and are able to pass it along to others. Their model looks something like this. I do it. First, I learn to do the job. I have to understand the why as well as the how, and I try to perfect my craft. I do it, and you watch. I demonstrate it while you observe, and during the process, I explain what I'm doing and why. You do it, and I watch. As soon as possible, we exchange roles. I give you permission and authority to take over the job, but I stay with you to offer advice, correction, and encouragement. You do it. Once you're proficient, I step back and let you work alone. The learner is drawn up to a higher level. And as soon as he is on that higher level, the teacher is free to move on to higher things. In all the years I've been equipping and developing others, I've never found a better way to do it than this. And for a long time, whenever I got ready to perform one of my duties, I made it a practice to take along the person I wanted to equip for the task. Before we did it, we talked about what was going to happen. And afterward, we discuss what we did. Maybe you've already done this with people. If you haven't, try it because it really works. 2. Put fuel in their tank. People won't get far without fuel, and that means resources for their continuing personal growth. Any mentor can give that valuable gift to someone he is developing. Many people don't know where to find good resources or what kinds of materials to select, especially when they're just starting out. I regularly share books, tapes, and videos with the people I'm developing and equipping. And I also enjoy sending them to seminars. My goal is always to bring something to the table when I spend time with someone, whether it's an employee, a colleague, or a friend. I always want to be a resource person for them. You can do the same thing for others. Start by sharing the books and resources that have changed your life. And be on the lookout for good material in others' areas of interest. There are few greater thrills than putting into others' hands a resource that can help take them to the next level. 3. Stay with them until they can solo successfully. I've been told that every student pilot looks forward to the first solo flight with anticipation and a certain amount of fear. But a good flight instructor wouldn't allow a student to take that solo flight until he is ready, nor would he let a student avoid her solo once she is ready. I guess you could say that's the difference between a true mentor and a wannabe. It's kind of like the difference between a flight instructor and a travel agent. The one stays with you, guiding you through the entire process until you're ready to fly. The other hands you a ticket and says, "Have a good flight." As you develop people, remember that you are taking them on the success journey with you, not sending them. Stay with them until they're ready to fly. And when they are ready, get them on their way. 4. Clear the flight path. Even after teaching people to fly, providing them with fuel, and giving them permission to take the controls, some mentors don't take the next step required to make their people successful. They don't give them an unencumbered flight path. They usually don't intentionally restrict the people they're developing, but it still happens. Here are several common obstacles created by mentors for potential leaders. Lack of clear direction. Many times a potential leader gets mentored and learns how to do a job, then he is left adrift, without any direction from his leader. Bureaucracy. Or she learns how her leader works and thinks, and then she is put into a bureaucratic system that stifles the innovative spirit that the mentor just engendered. Isolation. Everyone needs a community of people with whom to share and from whom to draw support. Often if the mentor doesn't provide it, the new leader won't have it. Busy work. Work with no perceived value demoralizes and demotivates people. Poor or dishonest communication. An agenda that isn't communicated honestly to the person being developed hinders the relationship and confuses the potential leader. Once you begin to develop others, check to see that you're not leaving obstacles in their path. Give them clear direction, positive support, and the freedom to fly. What you do can make the difference between their failure and success. And when they succeed, so do you. 5. Help them repeat the process. After you've done everything you can to help your people, and they have taken off and are soaring, you may think you're finished. But you're not. There's still one more step you must take to complete the process. You have to help them learn to repeat the development process and teach others to fly. You see, there is no success without a successor. A great joy in my life has been to see how leaders I've developed and equipped have turned around and repeated the process with others. It must be similar to the joy a great-grandfather feels as he looks at the generations that have been raised up in his family. With each successive generation, the success continues. This process of reproduction has become a pattern in my life. For example, when I got to San Diego in 1981, I hired an assistant named Barbara Brumigan. I trained her, teaching her everything she needed to know to maximize my time and talents. She stayed with me for 11 years. But before she left me, she equipped Linda Eggers, who is my assistant today. Linda has been with me for 25 years, and she is in the process of mentoring and equipping her own assistants. The positive effects of developing others are remarkable. But you don't have to be a remarkable or unusually talented person to mentor others. You can raise up people around you and teach them to fly, just as I have. It does take desire and a commitment to the process, but it is the most rewarding part of success. Raising up others is the greatest joy in the world. You see, once people learn to fly, they're capable of going just about anywhere. And sometimes when they're flying high, they help you along too. Steps to take along the way. What should we do along the way? 1. Identifying development areas. Now it's time to develop a strategy for mentoring the people you selected in the exercise at the end of Chapter 9. Use the following grid to brainstorm how you can develop the people around you. Name of person greatest strength areas to develop resources to share. Your response. 2. Making the development of people part of your routine. During the next month, plan to spend time developing your family members and the top people from other areas of your life, work, church, etc. Using the preceding grid and your calendar, schedule mentoring time with each person. Don't forget to plan bringing along people you intend to develop as you do various tasks. You may even want to get into the habit of writing the initials of the person you intend to have accompany you in your planner or calendar each time you make out your schedule. Also set aside time to select and gather the resources you intend to share with people. Your response. 3. Planning monthly. Mark a block of time on your calendar next month to repeat this process. And you will want to keep repeating it, as long as you intend to keep developing others. Your response.